Wolfie has been introduced many times already, I should say, as well as an activist. He's also a writer. This is his book. And I'm going to stand over here because I want to see his presentation as well.
So, hi everybody. I will introduce myself again. My name is Wolfie Christl. I'm from Vienna, Austria, not from Germany. This is a difference. And this is a very special cam. It's able to detect faces, identify people, and to automatically find the corresponding Facebook profile information. Just before the conference started, I put it back to the entrance. It recorded your faces and allowed me to discover some seemingly anonymous Facebook profiles of some people in this room. I found some pretty private details about some of you: secret affairs, mental problems, drug abuse, addicted to video games. Where's the state secretary? No, just joking. I'll come back to this later. First, for something completely different. This is Lightbeam, a browser extension which shows who is watching us when we're surfing the web. I visited 5 websites here: the New York Times, Guardian, BuzzFeed, Vice.com, and Dictionary.com. In the background, these 5 sites connected to 104 third-party services and told them about my visit. Only 5 websites, and it was recorded by 104 companies. Imagine what happens when you're surfing the web for a day, for a week, or for a month. This is how thousands of tracking companies are able to compile profiles about our online behavior. And of course, it's not only surfing the web. There's also our smartphone, a powerful small computer, even if it's a bit broken, like this one. It contains lists of our contacts and friends, our calls, our messages. It tracks our movements, lots of very private data. Who is able to access this data? Many apps, if we give them permission to access it. And what's the business model of these apps? Collecting and selling our personal information, very often. The interesting thing is, most of us would not hand over detailed information about our contacts, our addresses, our movements to other people we don't know. But we don't seem to care so much handing it over to thousands of companies we don't know. During the last few years, I tried to find out how to beat this challenge. My first try looked like this. I was asking, worried about your privacy? Forget it. Turn the tables and find out all the dirty details about your friends, your neighbors, and the rest of the world. Together with a small team from Vienna, I created Data Dealer, an online game, even a Facebook game, about collecting and selling personal information. You can still play it online, and I promise that we won't sell your data, trust me. Since then, I did lots of research. I wrote newspaper articles, contributed to TV documentaries about digital tracking, and recently I published an extensive report about these issues. It's called Networks of Control, and you can download a PDF version for free, but it's also you can also buy it as a printed book. I wrote it together with Sarah Spiekermann, a privacy researcher and university professor also from Vienna. We basically try to explain how today's networks of digital tracking are constantly recording, profiling, categorizing, rating, and affecting the lives of billions across platforms, devices, and live contacts. It aims to be a comprehensive summary about how personal data is being analyzed, how analytics based on our data is already being used in different fields, how it is being recorded by different devices and platforms, and how it is combined, matched, shared, and traded by global networks of data brokers, credit reporting agencies, online marketing, and ad technology providers. Not least, we investigated the social implications and present a list of recommended actions. Today I'll give you an overview of what we found during our investigation. So, more slowly, the first thing we looked at is how personal data is being analyzed today. For example, in the field of health. And by the way, I'm curious, who in the audience has ever been in psychotherapy? Mental health problems? Don't be shy. You've got nothing to hide. No problem. we'll get that done. The Big Five, or the five-factor model, is one of the most popular personality models in psychology. According to this model, every human being can be described using 5 main dimensions. Neuroticism, neurotic people are nervous, emotionally unstable, afraid of everything. Extroversion, openness to new experiences. Conscientiousness, this is about how responsible and reliable somebody is. And agreeableness, this is about how trustful or cooperative or how kind somebody is. The five-factor model is well established. It's been used in thousands of academic papers since many years. Now, a research team from Switzerland did an experiment. They asked participants to fill out a survey and used the classical questionnaire approach to find out the values for each of these personality traits. For example, like that. In a second step, they asked all of them to install an app on their phone, which collected some data about their phone usage. It recorded the number of uses of each of these apps during 8 months. They tracked the number and duration of incoming, outgoing, and missed calls, and the same for short messages. Metadata, not content. They were successful. They found statistical correlations. Not very strong ones, but still correlations. For example, they found that people who've used the office or calendar apps more often are rather neurotic and less open for new experiences, and they're quite untrustworthy. Heavy internet users on the phone, less extroverted and less open. And so on and so on. When somebody's calling lots of different people, it seems like this person could be super social, but if somebody prefers to send messages instead of calling, sounds like this person is rather unreliable. Now, you could tell me, yes, we already knew most of that, but that's not what this is about. This is about big data. Whoever is able to access these phone logs can do these predictions for millions of people. Finally, when they try to predict someone's personality just based on smartphone metadata, for example, if somebody is low or high on neuroticism, it looks like that. By the way, I'm totally open, agreeable, extroverted, and neurotic. No, just joking, but I found out the truth about me. There are several websites out there which offer to calculate the Big Five from Facebook profile information. Who else is interested in the Big Five? This is a slide from the British intelligence agency, from the Snowden leaks. It seems that they are thinking about how the Big Five personality traits correlate with the web browsers used. For example, they found out that Firefox users could be more neurotic. What they didn't analyze in the research paper I mentioned is who is calling whom, who do you know, who are your friends. Social network analytics also offers powerful ways to make predictions about people. This is also just metadata. Metadata is powerful, or like the former CIA director said, we kill people based on metadata. Or listen to his homie from the NSA, he said metadata absolutely tells you everything about somebody's life. If you have enough metadata, you don't really need content. Okay, this is not so much about corporate surveillance. So to make it a bit less dramatic, this is Signify, a US company which calculates credit ratings from phone call records. They explain to analyze call durations, the time calls are made, who is frequently called, and so on. And they say 4 weeks of calling history is enough to predict the creditworthiness of someone. The partners include large mobile phone network providers like Telefonica and Equifax, one of the 3 large consumer credit reporting agencies in the US. So what is this all about? It's all about data mining, involving methods from mathematics and statistics to machine learning. Machine learning algorithms learn from existing data. They get trained to find correlations in large data sets. And they're able to find patterns and connections between variables where human beings really give up. For example, this is Test Finance, a company which has been founded by Google's former chief information officer. They are combining thousands of data elements to calculate credit scores about consumers. Which data? From how people use smartphones and social networks to the spelling somebody uses in online loan application forms. In 2016, Test Finance announced a partnership with Baidu, China's largest web search provider, like Google in China. Test Finance says that Baidu's rich user search data will be valuable for loan underwriting and assessing credit risk. On their website, they state, "We believe that more data is always better." And the founder once said, "All data is credit data. We just don't know how to use it yet." All data, there's lots of data about us out there. Today, virtually everything we do is recorded, monitored, or tracked in some way. All kinds of collected data ends up in huge clusters of databases. Data mining technologies help to find the relevant information in these massive amounts of data. Take Facebook, or Tracebook, as I'd like to call it. They're collecting vast amounts of information about the everyday lives of nearly 2 billion people, and still 1.2 billion people use it every day. And Facebook puts these 2 billion people into thousands of categories and lets advertisers use these categories in order to include or exclude people from ads on an individual level. A few weeks ago, the US-based nonprofit ProPublica was able to purchase a housing ad on Facebook. They wanted to address people who are likely to move, look at the top, and who are interested in buying a house and so on. But if you look at the bottom, you can also exclude people who match specific criteria. In this case, people who are categorized as Hispanic or African or Asian Americans. They are excluded from seeing the ad. Besides of this is probably illegal discrimination in the US. How do they know about the ethnic affinity, how they call it, of someone? And are these classifications accurate? Basically, we don't know. But maybe they use similar methods as in this Berkeley study. In academic paper, the researchers tried to predict these personal private attributes of users just based on their Facebook likes. And these were the results. They were able to successfully predict ethnicity, sexual orientation, political and religious views just based on data about 170 Facebook likes per user. The study had 60,000 participants, and as you can see, ethnicity can be predicted quite accurately. In Europe, Facebook doesn't offer to directly categorize people according to their ethnicity, but they still sort people in many different categories. For example, you could purchase an ad on Facebook, I tried that yesterday, targeted to people living in Norway, 25 to 40 years old, speaking a specific kind of Norwegian language, and then exclude people who are interested in Arabic language, Islam, multiple sclerosis, personality disorder, plus-size clothing, trade union, or wheelchairs. So, ethnic profiling and similar things are not directly available in Europe, but you can still use proxies, like categories like these, and there are many others. However, relax. After massive criticism and media coverage, Facebook told us 2 days ago that it will build a system to prevent advertisers from buying credit, housing, and employment ads that exclude viewers by race. So, take it easy, right? And anyway, it's only about ads. Who cares? Also, 2 weeks ago, when the large UK insurer Admiral announced to introduce to price car insurance based on Facebook posts, Facebook quickly reacted and blocked the insurer's app. Perfect, right? On the other hand, Facebook itself registered a patent about credit scoring based on Facebook data. They write, when an individual applies for a loan, the lender examines the credit rating of members of the individual's social network, so of your Facebook friends. If the average credit rating of these members is at least the minimum credit score, the lender continues to process the loan application. Otherwise, the loan application is rejected. Facebook patent. So, is Facebook planning to provide credit scoring based on data about your Facebook friends? We don't know. Facebook will probably say, it's just a patent, we won't do it, but can we trust this company? In 2014, when Facebook acquired WhatsApp, they said, don't worry, your WhatsApp data is safe. We won't share it with Facebook. In 2016, the company announced to start sharing WhatsApp data with Facebook. Whatever. Of course, it's not only Facebook, there are many ways of how personal data is being collected and utilized today. Let's have a look at Visual DNA. They use data from online quizzes to create personality profiles about users. They say that the quizzes have been taken by 40 million people already, voluntarily. Altogether, Visual DNA provides digital profiles about 500 million consumers, for example, for marketing and online advertising purposes, but also for credit scoring and risk assessment. Visual DNA partners with MasterCard, consumer data brokers like Experian, and Admiral, a large UK insurer, you remember from before. Another example, TrustDev, an online fraud detection company. Nobody wants fraud, right? They seem to be rather open-minded. On their website, you can see which kinds of data they process to keep fraud out while letting good customers through. They have access to phone numbers, email and postal addresses, browser and device fingerprints, credit checks, transaction histories, IP addresses, mobile carrier details, cell location, and much more. Its parent company, TransUnion, a large credit information and consumer reporting agency, has data on 1 billion consumers globally, obtained from 90,000 different data sources. Another company with a really large collection of information about consumers is Axiom. Ever heard of it? Axiom is one of the largest consumer data brokers globally, and it says it's had up to 3,000 attributes on 700 million people. For example, they have the credit history, driving history, criminal history, residential history, employment history, education history, much data about financial things, income, purchase behavior. They don't collect data about illnesses, but about health interests. And by the way, Axiom has data partnerships with many other companies, for example, with Google, Facebook, and Twitter. Another corporation not so much known as a data broker up to now is Oracle, one of the world's largest business software providers. In recent years, they acquired several data companies and became also one of the largest consumer data brokers. This is a very nice slide about Oracle's data cloud. They explain to record what consumers do, what consumers say, and what consumers buy. According to their own statements, they aggregate 3 billion user profiles from 15 million different websites, 700 million social media messages daily, and billions of purchases. On top, you can see offline, mobile, email, social, in-store, so also purchases in shops, and so on. In the center is the Oracle Identity Graph, and this Oracle Identity Graph allows them to link and match user profiles across platforms, devices, and company databases. You can see here the email ID, cookie ID, mobile ID, and so on. Ever wondered why Facebook and all the other companies want your phone number? Now you know. In our report, you can find more information about how Oracle explains this linking and matching process, and the company also provides a wide range of data from partners. This is Oracle's data directory. They share and combine data from companies like Axiom, Experian, MasterCard, TransUnion, Visual DNA from before, and many more. And of course, Oracle also partners with Facebook and Google. Another data broker which focuses more on the risk side is LEXISNEXIS Risk Solutions, a very nice name. They've got a similar amounts of profiles on consumers and a really impressive range of offers on the website. They are not only selling data on problem renters, they also offer their Employment Screening Enterprise Edition. They say, for example, make quicker, confident pre- and post-hiring decisions. And they've also got offers for healthcare, Here they say social network analytics reveal hidden relationships. And they even write somewhere on the website, we help predict the likelihood that the consumer will become delinquent in the next 18 months. And of course, they also have offers for governmental agencies in law enforcement. Look at the nice black helicopter. But they also provide marketing solutions, and this is a general trend. The same data and the same analytics technology is more and more used in completely different contexts, from marketing to banking, insurance, to law enforcement. Take Palantir, a Silicon Valley data mining company. They're offering products for companies in the field of healthcare, insurance, and banks. Their software is based on PayPal's fraud detection algorithms, and they've got partnerships with the German company SAP, the US Department of Defense, and with the CIA. A company that sees itself, no, sorry, I was too fast. Another company would be SCL Group, a company that sees itself as working on the forefront of behavioral change. They provide data-driven marketing for commercial purposes, but also information operations for intelligence and military and so on, and they see themselves as a global election management company as well. SCL Group's US branch is called Cambridge Analytica, and this company claims to have a national database of 220 million US citizens containing 5,000 data points about every person. According to The Guardian, the company has also harvested data on millions of Facebook users. So what are they doing with this data? They sort people in different categories. For example, alongside the political views on issues like pro-life, environment, gun rights, or immigration, in order to target and address people differently. This way they can communicate different messages to different groups of people according to their political views and based on vast amounts of personal information on an individual level. And by the way, Cambridge Analytica also managed the Brexit campaign, and they also managed Donald Trump's election campaign. Okay, voter targeting, but there are many fields where big data analytics is being used. For example, GNS Healthcare, a US company, calculates individual health risks from a wide range of patient data, including from genomics, medical records, lab data, mobile health devices, and also consumer behavior. They offer to identify people likely to participate in interventions or not, to predict the progression of illnesses, and to rank patients by how much return of investment the insurer can expect if it targets them with a particular intervention. Maybe also to exclude the hopeless cases? No, I'm sure not. So we had healthcare, banking, insurance, election campaigns, fraud detection, law enforcement. But what if our data is used only for marketing, advertising? Based on my research, I would say marketing has been and still is the major driver for pervasive corporate surveillance. In 2007, Apple introduced the smartphone, and Facebook had just 30 million users. Also in 2007, online advertisers started to use individual level data to profile and target users. 4 years later, it was around 100 relevant companies in the field of so-called marketing technology, which is largely based on personal data collection and profiling. In 2012, it was already 350 companies. Then 947, 1,876, and now in 2016, we've got thousands of online platforms, ad servers, app developers, analytics companies, data brokers, and many other kinds of companies which are constantly tracking, profiling, categorizing, rating, and scoring us in real time. One of these is Lot.me, a so-called data management platform, which provides access to 3 billion cookies and 2 billion mobile device ID, and they explain on the website, it's your data. You have the right to control it, share it, and use it how you see fit. Sounds nice, right? But of course, they don't speak to consumers. They speak to their corporate clients. I really love this. I think it's a good representation of today's information technology landscape. While we as individuals became more and more transparent, practices of corporate surveillance remain largely obscure. Today, each of our interactions is monitored, analyzed, assessed by a network of machines and software algorithms operated by companies we have rarely ever heard of. It's not balanced at all. Without our knowledge, and often without our consent, our interests, weaknesses, illnesses, successes, secrets, purchasing power, and so on, are surveyed. And companies increasingly use the collected data about our lives to make decisions on us, from which ads and products we see, which discounts and prices we get, how long we have to wait when calling a phone hotline, which payment method we get, to massive decisions in the field of personal finance, insurance, housing, employment, or healthcare. While we as individuals and human beings, or we as a society, mostly don't even know who is tracking us, how our data is being used, and how this could impact our future lives, the companies took control of our data. All right, this was a quick tour through years of my research. Again, this is our book. You can download it for free, as mentioned, or you can buy a printed version. Please read it, spread it, and write about it. As the first track of this conference focuses on the questions who, what, and how are we tracked, and what are the implications, I'll skip the question, what has to be done for now. I hope we have a good discussion and conversation about the challenges and options later at this conference. Only one recommendation. I'd like to finish my talk with a major statement by a major guy. Google's Eric Schmidt said in 2013, "You have to fight for your privacy, or you will lose it." Friendly advice? Or a serious threat? I don't know. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Wolfie, and of course, everyone really should read this. So, hands up here in the audience, if I can see you. How many of you were kind of creeped out by what Wolfie was saying? How many of you found that level of surveillance creepy? Hands up? Okay, that's just about everyone. Okay, I've got bad news. It's about to get worse. That Wi-Fi that I told you all to log into earlier, yeah, it's tracking you. Via Facebook, as someone treated me to tell Tobias, wherever you are. Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. So I don't know what we do about this. Wolfie, what do we do about this? I mean, somebody has offered to set up a hotspot, but that's not exactly ideal in all circumstances. Do we just go offline?
No, I don't think that's a solution, because I love information technology. So this is not a solution. But I think today's kind of surveillance economy is toxic. We really have to change it on a fundamental level, in my opinion. And I don't think it's impossible, because it's not so old. It just was created during the last years in this form, as we know it. And the companies just built how our information technology landscape now looks like. And we as individuals, society, probably also policymakers and politicians, just waited what they will do. And I think we should take back control to build a future democratic information society. About more concrete examples of my suggestions, maybe we can discuss that later on the afternoon. I don't know.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you very much, Wolfie.